The Bible defines, and it talks about heavens. I believe it talks about 3. People say there's more. Let's just go with 3. Paul said, I know a man, whether in or out, that was lifted up to the 3rd heaven and saw things unexplainable. So I believe Paul is talking about a throne room, heaven encounter to where he actually he ascended there, whether in or out. And then there is a 2nd heaven where it says that Satan is the god of this world. It is a world that we cannot see with our natural eyes, but is all around us. And I believe that angels ascend and descend through that realm, here to there. I read in the Bible the other day, like angels are pretty powerful, like pretty amazing. I actually heard a sermon by Billy Graham. Now, for those of you watching that hate me, you probably don't hate Billy Graham. If you do, you're probably a devil. Yeah. For real. Like Billy was like, I had a lady that responded on, she said something. Someone showed me the message. It said about Billy Graham and Todd White, Todd, you're not even able to lick the boot strings that Billy Graham wore. And I was like, well, that's gross. And I don't think Billy wore boots. But I am so for Billy is one of the most amazing men in the world that is with Jesus and is cheering us on. One of the most amazing preachers of the gospel I've ever heard in my life. And it's amazing. Billy Graham preached a sermon on angels, and he said he had more letters with that sermon than he's ever had in his whole life of preaching. And then he had more people send in their encounters with angels than he's ever seen before. Ever. So I was like looking into it. There's 100, gosh, I want to quote this right. I wrote it down. Jesus, help me. There's 108 times that the angels are mentioned in the Old Testament. There's 165 times in the New Testament. Angels are mentioned. You know, when Christmas rolls around, everybody believes in angels. And then when we put our decorations away, we forget them again until next Christmas. The world believes in angels. They don't even know Jesus. The world's like, yeah. Then an angel said, peace on earth, goodwill to men. I don't even know what it means. Jesus was ministered to by angels. Do you think we need it? Angels are not people. They are created beings. I think it's Psalms 145, verse 8, talks about God created them, but he commanded. So God created them. They're actually his. They're ministering spirits, flames of fire, sent forth for those that would inherit salvation. That would be me. I remember preaching, and this is at the time I was going to Life Center, and I spoke at some home group somewhere, and someone came up to me and said, Todd, I'm a seer. When anybody says they're a seer, my radar goes up. I'm like, okay, what are you seeing? You know, like, because it's like when someone comes up and says, hi, my name's Apostle. Sometimes it makes me feel really freaky. Not that it's not. People are apostles. Are you okay? Boy, I'm going to get hit with this so hard. I don't care. I don't care. I love Jesus. There are apostles, prophets, teachers, evangelists. Come on, there are all of it. It's out there. So he said to me, he goes, you know, I'm a seer. And I go, okay. Now, I had known a little bit about him, and I'd known that he did see stuff, but I didn't see it, you know. But like just because other people had just said about him. And so anyway, he said, when you speak, there is a big blue angel behind you, and he walks with you. I really want to see him. He walks behind you, and he makes the word go in and become revelation. And he said he towers over you, moves only when you move. I went, wow, okay, thanks, bro. So I was at another conference, like same year, probably 4 months or 5 months later, and a lady came up, she goes, I'm a seer. I go, okay. Radar goes up. Because there's all kinds of things that people say they see, and I'm not. God's the judge. So I'm not saying that, but I need to know. Because I've had lots of people come up to me and say, God told me that I'm supposed to do this, and I'm supposed to follow, and I'm supposed to this, you're supposed to mentor me. God told me that you're supposed to take me under your wing, and I'm supposed to travel with you. God told me that I'm supposed to come live with you. God told me that all kinds of stuff. I'm like, well, God better tell me. Are you with me? Come on. The Lord says, be careful when the Lord says. Are you with me? If you're going to share a prophetic word, probably don't go the Lord says route. I really feel in my heart that. Just share that. And then when they say, I had no idea what you're talking about. Say, well, I'm just learning how to hear God. And they might think, well, you didn't. But that's okay, at least you want to. Are you with me? And so this lady goes, there's an angel that follows you. And I'm like, okay. So now I'm like, my radar's up, right? I said, what color is he? She goes, blue. I went, oh. And what does he do? Well, everywhere you go, he follows you. Same position that you take, he takes. But do I see him? No, but she said the exact same things verbatim that the other one said. I went, thank you. And I had this, wow. Lord, I want to see him. Really? Come on, for real. But I haven't been able to, but I want to. Are you with me? It's true. I do. Oh, boy, I need help, buddy. Listen to this. How powerful are angels? Pretty powerful. How about the two that Lot met in Sodom? Everybody's eyes got taken out. They were trying to come in and sleep with these angels. Are you with me? This is crazy. Crazy. When Jesus was born, one spoke. And then God got so happy he interrupted himself. Talking to the shepherd, God's like, that's not good enough. Says thousands upon thousands, 10,000s upon 10,000s. Myriads. What's a myriad look like? I don't know. I heard Bobby Connor's story of angels, and I am totally freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh. He said there's a host. Bobby said this. He said there's a host. He started talking about darkness that's being released in a way that we've never seen it before on the earth. This was like 3 years ago I was with him. And he said, and I was immediately in heaven, and the Lord showed me the angelic host about to be released. And I'm sitting there like listening, right? He said that their wings, he said that they're like razors, metallic. He said, and when God called him to attention, he goes, there was a, just like that. He looked, and myriads completely standing at attention. And they were these warrior angels he's never seen. And he said, darkness and deep darkness is covering the earth, but not so with us. Arise and shine. And he started to talk about the reality of these angelic hosts and what they do. He said that when you start to share the gospel, since darkness is increasing, and when darkness is increasing, it's not like God's behind, like, well, we better catch up. God's like, oh no, what are we gonna do now? Like the devil's a pawn on a chessboard, buddy. And God knows his every move. But let's never forget, he's the king. He said that these angelic hosts, they would surround witnesses, people that are going to be witnesses. He said they would go and surround them and people they were witnessing to completely, that darkness couldn't even penetrate. And I was like, oh. Listen to this. How powerful is an angel? Listen to this one. In 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 35, it says, then it happened that night that the angel, this is one, the angel of the Lord went out and struck 185,000 men in the camp of the Assyrians. And when men rose early in the morning, behold, every one of them were dead. We outnumbered the demonic realm 2-1, angel-wise. One angel thumped 185,000 men. One. I was reading about Israel and reading about their fights, their battles. There was no way that they would win if the Lord didn't say go. If God didn't say go, they lost every battle. They were like, we're gonna go up and fight him. I said, don't. We got him, we beat the last one. No, you really need to depend upon me. All right, go. Bang, they'd get thumped. Why? Because they didn't listen. Do you think that it was God fighting, or do you think that maybe the angelic had something to do with this? So now we're in a New Testament, not in old. We're not in an old covenant, we're in a new covenant where only prophets, priests, kings, and judges could prophesy in the Old Testament. And they would prophesy because the word came to them to give it. Now in the New Testament, we are all. That's exactly right. We are royal priests. We are all walking with the capability to prophesy. Actually, God desires that we all prophesy. Only priest, king, judge. Only these four could only talk from God. Now, new covenant, Jesus pays the price for the Holy Ghost to come live within us and to prophesy through us. And God says he desires that all of us prophesy.